I remember the first moment I felt something was wrong, not because of what he did, but because of what my body felt when I was around him. A quiet tension I couldn't explain, a feeling that settled in my chest, like a warning I refused to listen to. We met on a warm evening that felt ordinary, the kind of night where nothing dramatic is supposed to happen, and yet somehow everything changed. He was charming in a calm way, not loud or flashy, the kind of man who makes you feel seen simply by listening. And when he smiled, it felt safe, familiar, like I had known him longer than I actually had. At the time, I told myself that was chemistry, that instant connection people talk about. But looking back now, I realize it was something else entirely, something closer to vulnerability than love. From the beginning, there were small moments that didn't sit right with me, moments so subtle that I brushed them aside almost automatically. He would disappear for hours without explanation, then return with a smile and a casual excuse. And instead of questioning it, I told myself he was just busy, just independent, just different. When he spoke about his past relationships, there was always a pattern. Women who were too emotional, too demanding, never satisfied. And each time, a small voice inside me whispered that maybe the common denominator wasn't them, but him. Still, I ignored it because I wanted to believe I was different, that I would be the one who understood him better, loved him the right way, didn't ask for too much. The red flags weren't loud, they weren't dramatic. They didn't come with shouting or obvious cruelty. They came quietly, wrapped in charm and excuses, and I was far too eager to unwrap them without questioning what was inside. As our relationship grew, so did the inconsistencies. He could be incredibly affectionate one day, sending long messages, planning future trips, talking about someday in a way that made my heart race, and then completely distant the next. Cold without explanation, unreachable when I needed him most. Each time it happened, I felt a sharp sting of confusion, but instead of confronting him directly, I confronted myself, asking what I had done wrong, what I could do better, how I could be more patient, more understanding, less needy. I told myself love required compromise, that relationships weren't always easy, that real love meant staying even when things felt uncomfortable. I didn't realize that I was slowly training myself to accept less, to silence my instincts, to ignore the part of me that was desperately trying to protect me. There were nights I lay awake replaying conversations in my head, analyzing his tone, his words, searching for reassurance in memories that no longer felt reassuring. When I finally gathered the courage to ask him why he pulled away, why he seemed present only when it suited him, he laughed softly and told me I was overthinking, that I worried too much, that I needed to relax. That was another red flag, one I didn't recognize at the time. The way he dismissed my feelings so gently that it felt almost reasonable. I wanted to believe him, so I did. I told myself I was imagining things, that my anxiety was the problem, not his behavior. Over time, the relationship began to feel less like a partnership and more like a performance. Me constantly adjusting myself to keep him comfortable, careful not to ask questions that might push him away, careful not to express emotions that might be labeled as too much. I stopped sharing my fears, my doubts, even my excitement, because I never knew which version of him I would get in response, the warm and loving one or the distant and uninterested one. And still, I stayed. I stayed because leaving felt scarier than the uncertainty, because I had invested so much of myself into making it work, because I believed that if I just loved him a little harder, a little quieter, a little better, things would eventually settle into something stable and real. The betrayal didn't come suddenly. It revealed itself slowly, through cracks that widened until the truth could no longer hide behind excuses. I noticed a change in his phone habits first, the way he angled the screen away from me, the way he grew tense whenever a notification appeared, the way he suddenly needed privacy he had never asked for before. My chest tightened every time I saw it, but I pushed the feeling down, telling myself I trusted him, telling myself jealousy was ugly, that suspicion would ruin what we had. Then came the late nights, the unexplained absences, the stories that didn't quite add up, and finally, the moment I found the messages I wasn't supposed to see. There was no dramatic confrontation, no screaming or throwing things, just a quiet, devastating realization as I read words that were never meant for me. Words filled with intimacy, familiarity, promises that sounded painfully similar to the ones he had once made to me. In that moment, everything slowed down, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear my own thoughts. A cold numbness spreading through my body as the truth settled in. He had been living a double life, offering pieces of himself to someone else while convincing me that I was asking for too much, simply by wanting honesty. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He didn't apologize the way I expected. He didn't fall apart in guilt. Instead, he looked tired, almost annoyed, and told me it just happened, that it didn't mean anything, that I was making it bigger than it needed to be. That hurt more than the betrayal itself, the realization that my pain was an inconvenience to him, something to be managed rather than acknowledged. I felt foolish, embarrassed, angry at him, but even angrier at myself for ignoring every warning sign that had tried to save me. In the days that followed, I replayed our entire relationship in my mind, seeing every moment with new clarity, every excuse I had accepted, every boundary I had allowed him to cross, every time I had chosen comfort over truth. I realized that the red flags had been there from the very beginning, patiently waiting for me to notice them, but I had been too afraid of being alone to listen. Healing didn't happen quickly, and it certainly wasn't linear. Some days I felt strong, certain that leaving was the right choice, proud of myself for finally choosing me. And other days I missed him so intensely it felt physical, my heart aching for the version of him I had believed in, the man I thought he could be. I had to learn the difference between missing someone and missing the idea of them, between love and attachment, between hope and denial. Slowly, I began to trust myself again, to listen to my instincts instead of silencing them, to understand that red flags aren't challenges to overcome. They are warnings meant to be respected. I learned that love should feel safe, consistent, and honest, not confusing, painful, or conditional. And even though the betrayal left scars, it also gave me clarity, teaching me lessons I might have ignored otherwise. If you're listening to this and something feels familiar, if you recognize pieces of your own relationship in my story, I want you to know that you're not weak for staying, and you're not broken for loving deeply, but you do deserve a love that doesn't require you to ignore yourself. When love hurts, it's not because you failed. It's because you stayed in a place that was never meant to hold you, and walking away, as painful as it is, can sometimes be the most powerful act of self-love you'll ever choose. After I walked away, the silence was the loudest thing I had ever experienced. There was no arguing, no messages, no explanations left to chase, just empty space where a relationship used to exist. And for a while, that emptiness felt unbearable. I thought leaving would immediately make me feel free, relieved, stronger, but instead it felt like grief, the kind that settles into your bones and follows you everywhere. I missed him. Not because he treated me well in the end, but because my life had slowly learned his shape, his presence, his absence, and now everything felt unfamiliar. There were moments when I reached for my phone out of habit, moments when I wanted to tell him about my day, moments when loneliness whispered that going back would be easier than staying alone, and those were the moments that tested me the most. Healing didn't arrive as some dramatic breakthrough. It came quietly, in small, uncomfortable realizations I couldn't ignore anymore. I began to see how much of myself I had abandoned while trying to keep him. How often I had chosen silence over honesty, patience over boundaries, hope over reality. I noticed how my body had been tense for months, how my mind had been constantly on edge, waiting for the next shift in his mood, the next disappearance, the next explanation that never fully explained anything. Slowly, I started reconnecting with parts of myself that had gone quiet. The part that laughed freely, the part that spoke without rehearsing, the part that trusted her instincts instead of questioning them. There were days I cried for reasons I couldn't fully explain, not just because of the betrayal, but because of the time I had lost trying to make something work that was never meant to. I had to forgive myself for staying, for believing, for loving someone who couldn't love me back in the way I deserved, and that forgiveness was harder than forgiving him. Healing meant accepting that closure doesn't always come from answers. Sometimes it comes from deciding you no longer need them. I stopped replaying conversations, stopped searching for hidden meanings, stopped wondering what I could have done differently, and began asking myself what I needed instead. I learned that consistency is not something you beg for. It's something you receive naturally from someone who truly cares. I learned that love doesn't leave you feeling anxious, confused, or afraid to speak. It doesn't make you feel like you have to earn your place in someone's life. Trusting again was terrifying, not because I didn't believe in love, but because I was afraid of ignoring myself the way I once had. So I made a quiet promise to myself to listen the next time something felt off, to walk away from uncertainty instead of romanticizing it, to choose peace even when my heart wanted familiarity. Over time, the memories lost their sharp edges, the pain softened into understanding, and I realized that healing isn't about becoming someone who never gets hurt again. It's about becoming someone who knows when to leave. If you're listening to this while trying to heal from betrayal, I want you to know that feeling broken doesn't mean you are broken. It means something mattered to you, and that ability to care deeply is not a weakness. One day, you'll look back and realize that the moment you chose yourself, even when it hurt, was the moment everything truly began to change. Healing doesn't erase the past, but it gives you a future that feels safe again. And that is something worth waiting for. Learning to trust again wasn't something I decided to do one morning. It happened slowly, almost without my permission, in small moments where fear and hope quietly met each other. After the pain faded into something manageable, I noticed how cautious I had become, how every new connection felt like a potential threat rather than a possibility. I listened more than I spoke, observed more than I felt, always searching for signs, not of love, but of danger. I told myself I was being careful, but deep down I knew I was building walls, mistaking protection for healing. Trust, I learned, isn't about believing someone will never hurt you. It's about believing you'll be okay, even if they do. That realization changed everything. I stopped expecting certainty from people and started expecting honesty from myself. When something felt wrong, I didn't explain it away anymore. I acknowledged it. When something felt right, I allowed myself to feel it without immediately preparing for the loss. I learned to differentiate between intuition and fear, between a genuine warning and a memory trying to keep me safe in unhealthy ways. There were moments when vulnerability felt terrifying, when opening up even slightly made my heart race, but I reminded myself that closing off completely would only keep me lonely, not safe. Trusting again didn't mean ignoring red flags. It meant recognizing green ones, consistency, accountability, effort that didn't disappear when things became inconvenient. I paid attention to how people responded to my boundaries, not how they reacted when things were easy, but how they showed up when I said no, when I needed space, when I spoke honestly about my feelings. Slowly, I realized that the right people don't rush your healing. They respect it. They don't make you prove your worth. They see it without explanation. The more I trusted myself, the easier it became to trust others, because I knew that no matter what happened, I wouldn't abandon myself again. I wouldn't stay where I felt unseen, unheard, or unsure of my place. Love began to feel different, quieter, steadier, less dramatic than what I once mistook for passion, and more grounded in peace than excitement. I stopped chasing intensity and started valuing safety, emotional presence, and mutual effort. Trust didn't return all at once. It came back in layers, each one stronger than the last, built on self-respect rather than fear. If you're listening to this and wondering if you'll ever trust again, the answer is yes, but not in the same way you did before. And that's a good thing. You'll trust with awareness, with boundaries, with a deeper understanding of yourself. And that kind of trust isn't weaker, it's wiser. The heartbreak didn't ruin your ability to love, it refined it. And one day, you'll realize that learning to trust again wasn't about finding someone new. It was about finally trusting yourself